Okay guys, the white paper came out, and as you know, there is a lot of buzz about this white paper. And so many people are saying different things, and this is basically because it is affecting so many people. But in this video, we are going to look at some of the most significant changes and what you can do to take advantage of the transition window. For each significant change, I'm going to give immediately what you can do so that you are not completely affected. So all you need to do is just make sure that you watch this video until the end, and I will guarantee you will find it useful. So let's go. Firstly, let's clarify a few things. A white paper in the UK is not law. The white paper is an intention of government to introduce a law. So it's like a proposal. So this white paper must be presented to Parliament. After being presented to Parliament, Parliament has to vote on it. Once they vote on it and they vote in favor of it, then it will be adopted and it then becomes law. Even then, after it becomes law, it has to go through implementation process. So what we are talking about right now is a document that is undergoing consultation. So guys, before these changes take effect, all you need to do is to act fast. And I'm going to tell you a few of the things that you can actually do. And in order to do this more systematically, we are going to point out each change with what you can do. So let's start probably with the one of the most significant changes, and that was the change on skilled work visa. You know, this document is an 86-page document. So today I spent time to read this document and then I made a few notes. In fact, they are here. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is that with the change in the skilled worker visa from RQF3 to RQF6 comes a removal of 180 occupations, guys. 180 occupations are going off the shortage occupation list. And the next closely related suggestion that they are making in relation to that visa is that they are proposing to raise the salary threshold. The amount is not clearly defined, but what we know for now is that they have proposed that the minimum salary should be in line with the skilled worker visa. And for now, that one stands at around 38,700. But as you know, for some of the occupations, it has always been below that, especially for the RQF3 occupations. But as I said earlier, this is still a proposal. So if you have been thinking, oh well, I'll do this next year, I'll do next month or the other time, just make up your mind right now and make sure that if you have an opportunity, grab it. As I have always told people that the opportunities in the UK cannot last forever. Whenever you find one, just grab it, because you cannot be certain what will happen tomorrow. But one of the things that you can actually do, since we are in transition, and in fact, they hinted on saying that the transition period could take up to 2028. Guys, this is 2025. So between now and 2028, you could actually skill up. That is one of the things that you can do. Acquire new skills. In fact, right now, tech is the thing. So you could even consider getting a tech degree or some other qualification in that respect. But generally speaking, you could get a degree before 2028. And then another restriction they have proposed is the restriction on dependents. Of course, guys, you know, last year, 2024, 11th March, the UK government stopped students, except PhD students and those students on research programs, from bringing their dependents. They also stopped carers from bringing in their dependents. Now, they are proposing to extend the ban to other occupations. So guys, if you are one of those people who are like, let me first go to the UK and work for 6 months or work for 2 years or work for 1 year before I bring in my dependents. Guys, now is the time to bring in your dependents. Because if you don't do this and it gets implemented, you never know, your occupation might be one of those that will get locked out. And then you will be stuck here alone and your family is somewhere else, maybe in Uganda or Nigeria or Ghana or Pakistan or India, wherever they are. And trust me guys, you do not want such a thing to happen to you. So act fast and bring in your dependents. Do whatever it takes, do whatever is necessary for you to have them come and join you before the door is completely shut. And then of course you know that they are proposing to completely ban carers from coming to the UK, but they haven't banned yet. So if you have that job offer, if you have that opportunity, that interview, whatever you have coming your way, please put in all the necessary effort to make sure that you finalize everything before this proposal is implemented. And if you're in the UK, they're saying you can extend your visa, you can switch sponsors, but only until 2028. My best advice to the carers who are in the UK, just not to take chances. Just make sure as well you switch your occupation. Acquire new skills, join apprenticeship of any other occupation, and make sure that you don't stand in the area which is risky. Even though I actually know that the UK will never stop needing carers, but as they have said, that employers must now start programs that are going to train carers locally. So you might find yourself in 2028 needing a visa sponsorship even when you are in the UK here, and then you will not find it and you'll be kicked out. But if you start now and change to a different occupation, 2028 will come and find when you are fully prepared to take on new roles, and then you are no longer at risk. Then students, the issue of students. You know, of course, so many people want to come to the UK for studies for whatever reason. Everyone has their own reason. Now, in this white paper, they are saying only the top 600 universities will be allowed to sponsor students. And I'm not talking about 600 universities in the UK. No, by global ranking. What the UK is saying that if your institution is not among the top 600 universities in the world, it's no longer going to be possible for them to sponsor you to come and study here. So guys, if you are planning to come to the UK, if you are already in the process, then fasten up the process and come and study. But if you are planning to come afterwards, then better check what is the global ranking of that university. If it is not among the top 600 universities, forget about it. Even though they're actually saying they might allow those who are not among the global top 600, but only after additional scrutiny. Whatever additional scrutiny means, only the UK government can tell us. We can't know what it is. But if I was a student coming to the UK after they have implemented this white paper, then I would have to make sure that the institution is at least among the top 600 universities globally. And then they also said those universities must also prove that they have a 90% completion rate. So if your institution does not have a 90% completion rate, especially for those courses that you are applying for, they will not be allowed to sponsor students to come to the UK. But that's not even the most painful thing. The most painful thing is this, guys. After implementation of this paper, on your tuition, the fees you pay for the course that you're coming to do, the UK government is going to add 6% to that fees. So if you're paying £20,000 a year, just add 6% of that. That's why if you still have ambitions of coming to study in the UK, come now. Otherwise, 6% is a lot of money. And you might be thinking, 6% of 20,000 is just 1,200. But guys, £1,200 is a lot of money for a student. It can do a lot for a student. Another proposal in this white paper is to increase the financial requirement for dependents. You know, right now, the financial requirement for dependents is £29,000. Once this white paper becomes law, that is also going to be shifted to £38,700. And in fact, they are saying once the requirement for a skilled visa increases, it will also be increased accordingly. So once again, this is the best time to bring in your dependents. Still talking about dependents, we all know that it has only been those dependents who come as spouses that have been required to take an English test before they can be granted a visa. Now the UK government says all dependents who are adults must take and pass the English test. In addition to that, they are also saying they are going to become strict in checking the genuineness of your relationships, because they claim there are still sham marriages and they want to clamp down on those sham marriages and sham relationships. So whatever means they are going to use to verify the genuineness of your relationship or of your marriage, I have no idea. But guys, just know that things are going to get tougher. That's why this white paper affects everyone. That's why everyone in the UK is talking about it. Because imagine even if you are a British citizen and you get married to somebody who is not, and you want to bring them as a spouse, they must pass an English test first and foremost. And then you'll still have to go through that scrutiny, which they are saying is going to be stricter to ensure that your marriage is not a sham marriage. So it is just going to get tougher and tougher. So if you have your spouse somewhere, if you have your relationship, since partners don't do English tests, bring in your partner before they start saying all partners must also take and pass an English test. This white paper also touches on asylum. And they have said from 2028, the use of hotels for asylum seekers will end. You probably know that currently people who are seeking asylum in the UK are housed in hotels whose owners have an agreement with government that they will house the asylum seekers until other arrangements are made. So now government is saying that is going to end as well. I personally don't know whether that is good news or bad news. And then they also touched on the issue of illegal working. Now the government in that proposal is saying once you are caught working illegally, you will be deported. And then finally, the issue of earned settlement. As I speak now, this issue is one of the most sticky issues, and it has attracted the highest amount of resistance, and it is generating a lot of debate. So my suspicion is that, and this is particularly because the proposal said it will apply to even those people who are already in the UK, and it is going to apply 3 years backwards up to 2022, and this is where the real debate is. So my suspicion is that they will amend this and say, since the people who are already on the 5-year route in the UK are here on a different arrangement, we shall not apply this rule backwards. We shall now implement it on those who are going to come after the white paper has become law and the law has taken effect. Even though the Prime Minister is still insisting they will keep it at 10 years, but they can only reduce it to 5 years under certain conditions. And one of them is that if you marry a British citizen, then it can be 5 years. And then they say they are also going to come up with certain things. I don't know what certain things they are going to come up with, which if you do those things, then you would have earned your right to settle before the 10 years. What things they're talking about, I have no idea. But they are saying they are going to come up with them such that when you do any of those things, you earn points. When you have accrued a certain number of points, then you have earned the right to settle in the UK. And you can earn this before the 10-year timeline. And also what is tricky is that they are saying before you settle. In fact, what I forgot to mention about the English test earlier is that currently, even those spouses who are taking the English test, they are taking it at level B1, which is basic user. Now, they want to raise it to B2. That means that they are raising it from O-level English to A-level English. And that is the same thing that they are going to do for settlement. Currently, it is at B1, basic user English. But now, they are going to raise it to B2, what they call independent user of English. And they have called it an equivalent of A-level English. So what can you do about this? Just one thing, because I strongly believe that they're going to come back on this and modify it and say those who will be already in the UK when the law takes effect, the law does not apply to them, it applies to the new ones. The best you can do is that if you are planning to come to the UK, come now. Come before this law is implemented. Otherwise, it's going to be extremely tough. If you have watched this video up to this point, then I want to assume that it has been good. Please make sure that you give it a thumbs up, share it with all your friends and even your enemies, guys. And let's all be able to do whatever we can do before these changes can take effect. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.